want to ask you about the respect that this team is starting to get over the past, couple games that you guys have played. What do you feel about how you're seeing people talk about this program and the future it has?
Well, I love the team. I love the way they compete. They don't say a word about who's hurt, who's out, who's not there. The next guy goes in there and he plays his heart out. And when we've had a lot of people not play this year, and nobody says a word about it, including me, and I shouldn't have said anything about it now because the bottom line is we have practiced 4 deep and our players are ready to play. Just been really proud of them, and I'm happy with the direction the program's headed. Very disappointed we weren't able to win, but happy that where the program's headed.
Nikki.
Coach Pittman, could you give us an update on Noah Gatlin and also Bo Limmer? What did you see when you put Ty Clary in the game for him?
Well, I think Noah's going to be okay. He got hurt the first play of the game. Obviously, Dalton Wagner came in. Man, I'm proud of him. He got such a great attitude, came in and played well. And then Bo, I think, we had talked about it, getting Ty on the field. Ty had missed about 20-something days from different situations in camp, and he's been having really good practice. So we were planning on putting him in there at some point anyway because he had earned some playing time. We just played him, I think, maybe end of the second quarter, somewhere in there, all the way through the game, and just gives us added depth. But nothing's wrong with Bo at all. We just decided to try something else, and Ty played well.
Tom.
Hey, Sam, I got a little bit of a two-parter. How you think the team has done getting over kind of the hurt from the way that game ended last week? And then secondly, question about cornerbacks, how Clark and Kari Johnson held up, and who do you expect to be back in that rotation this week?
Well, y'all ask me these questions all the time, and I don't know, guys. I don't. We came back, got home about 11:30 on Saturday night, and we're getting updates from our training. But I'm hoping that we get that we get Monteric Brown back, that we get Slusher back, that Jerry's able to play. But we're out there with Kari Johnson and Hudson Clark, and those two guys did a heck of a job. And your first part of the question was about getting over the loss. I haven't been around the team. Their day off is Sunday. But again, I truly believe that our players will react like we do. And we're going to show the good, the bad, the ugly today, learn from our mistakes, get better from our mistakes. Got a lot of work to do. We didn't tackle well. We didn't play special teams well. We didn't start the game well on offense. Those things have to get we have to get those things fixed to win an SEC football game, and that's what we're going to go after today.
Yeah, Sam, what are your thoughts on Ole Miss? Particularly, I guess their offense is scoring an incredibly amount of points. Their defense is giving up an incredible amount of points. What do you think about Ole Miss, and especially the offense and what Kiffin's doing there?
I'm telling you, they're incredible. They are. They're fun to watch. They're scary to watch, but they're fun to watch. And it starts with their quarterback, Corral, and then, Early and Connor are two really good running backs. They've got a nice offensive line, a physical offensive line, and then you go with Drummond, Moore, and Mingo. Those guys can play along with some other guys. But I tell you what, the transfer they got in from Tempo, I'm not positive how to say Kenny's last name, Yabo, maybe Yaboa. I don't want to be disrespectful to him because that kid is a great football player. And so they've got weapons to throw to. Certainly they're fast pace, and that's what Coach Kiffin's obviously known for offense, and he's known for a reason because he's an excellent football coach, and they've got an excellent offensive football team, excellent football team.
Sam, kind of piggybacking off of Tom's question earlier, what did you specifically think of the way Kari Johnson played, getting his first defensive action in a game like that? And what's he and Hudson Clark really done in practice to maybe get the nod over some of the other guys?
Well, they've practiced well. They've come in and watched extra tape. They've basically made their position coach believe in them, by the way they act, the way they play, the way they practice. Kari, he was nervous, and there early he was playing corner at free safety depth. I felt for him, because he's out there against a really great receiver, but he figured out the speed of the receiver, his moves, different things, and he played a really fine football game. I was really proud of him. I'm saying that word proud a lot. I know I'll find another word that means proud.
Coach, the offense got going pretty good in the ball game, but is there any way you kind of jump started and maybe create a situation where they can get moving earlier in the ball game?
All of that to me directly relates to our pregame. We don't start fast because we don't start pregame fast. We're out there basically going, hey, look at me, look how good I look in my uniform, and not getting ready for the game. And that's got to stop. And that's our fault. That's my fault. We got to get our players going in pregame warm-ups. We've got to knock heads a little bit. We've got to run routes faster. We got to catch balls. And we didn't hardly catch a ball in pregame. And therefore, we started very slow. I believe everything matters, and I believe everything correlates to winning if you do it the correct way, and we did not, and that starts in pregame warm-ups.
Coach, I'm sure you're probably ready to move on from this. So last question on it, but did you send any plays into the SEC offices for review, and have you gotten any kind of response from them, whether an apology or an explanation?
Yeah, we got we sent in, I don't know, usually, Trey, we'll send in 5 to 6 plays to look at, and I think it's probably about what we sent in this week. Some of them were alignments on our punt team, were we too deep? And we were on some of those as well. There were some new kids in there that we have to coach them up better and things of that nature. But yes, I've heard from the head of officials, and I'm at peace with it. I don't really know what to say, I don't want to go into it, but I heard from the head of officials, and I understand what happened now, and so we'll move forward on it. But I'm disappointed in the outcome, I can tell you that.
Scotty.
Hey, Sam, I wanted to ask you about your tight ends. Hudson had a nice game at Mississippi State. At Auburn, it was Blake Kern. Just what led to his breakout game and him getting a majority of the snaps at tight end?
Hudson couldn't play, so that would lead to Kern being in there. And Kern did a nice job, caught some good balls, and blocked better than what he had. And he had a nice game. I was proud of him. And he tried to play more physical, but Hudson could not play. He had an injury.
Nate.
Sam, you got basically the whole practically college football world saying, Arkansas was done wrong on the officiating deal. How do you get the team kind of not feeling sorry for itself going into this game after something like that happened?
Well, I'd ask y'all to quit writing about it and talking about it. That would help. You know what? No matter what happened, the outcome was the outcome, and we can't change it. Even if there was a mistake made, even if whatever, we can't change it. So I never spoke to our team one time in the locker room about officiating, not one, and will not today. It is what it is. We're 1-2 instead of 2-1, and we have to go play a heck of an Ole Miss team. And I'm not going to mention it to them because what good's it going to do? So we're going to leave it at that.
Let me know if you've got more questions in the chat. Tara?
Hey, Coach, I just wanted to ask you about Davion Warren and how you feel about his contributions that he's made to this team.
Man, he's played well. When he catches the ball, he gets open, got some speed, can make people miss. To think he would be where he is right now when the season started, I said, I don't know. I hope so. But, man, he's playing good. And he's got confidence and doing a heck of a job for us. And we need him to. You know, Traylon obviously was out, and we need him to continue to do what he's doing when we get Traylon back.
Nikki?
Coach, Felipe looked about as good as you probably could have asked of him on Saturday, but he did get credited with a couple of his own, I guess, pressures for not getting rid of the ball fast enough or whatever it may have been. So what are some things that you still want to see him grow through for the next game and future games?
Oh, I just think that if he, knows that it's not open, he probably would tell you that he probably needs to make a little bit quicker decision if there's nothing there to, tuck it and go get what he can get. But I wasn't displeased really with even the sacks that he took. Nicky, it was so wet and windy, and I think he might have been afraid of trying to make a play that he normally would make in different conditions. So I was pleased with what he did, but I think he probably would make a little bit faster decision on, hey, maybe I can take off and run a little bit here.
Sam, from my viewpoint, you guys got into your best offensive rhythm of the year starting in the second quarter. What played into that? What did you see from Kendall like the rest of the way that seemed like y'all were productive? And do you expect to get some of your top playmakers back this week?
Yeah, yes. I think hopefully we'll be close to full speed as much as we can be. But again, I don't want y'all to think I'm lying to you. I'm just telling you what I know on Monday, but I feel like, we'll have a chance to be pretty close to full speed. And the bottom line, I think our offense goes when we can run the ball. And it doesn't have to be 8 yards and doesn't have to be 12 yards. It has to be 3, 4 yards. Get drive starters, give us manageable, possessions, manageable opportunities to run play action, because that's what we do. And I think you have to win first down. We talked about it last week about getting the first down to get this fast-paced offense started. I think some guys start fast-paced, and we kind of like to get that first down before we really start going super speed. And so I think that's what they did a little bit better.
Jordan?
Yeah, Coach, you were just talking about running the ball, and you've mentioned that your offense is so centered around that. Are you guys on the way to where you want it to be? And if not, what are the points of emphasis in practice this weekend moving forward to open up that ground game?
Well, I don't know if this was our best running performance of the year. Was it, Kyle, so far? So we're getting a little bit better, and we're trying to emphasize the strain, and we're cutting down a little bit of our run game to try to get better at specific runs. Obviously, we want to be able to run play action off of those runs, but I think our kids are, you know, to get better, you have to have some confidence. You have to see it on tape. And they saw it a little bit from the Mississippi State game. And then they'll see a little bit more, a little better last week. And I'm assuming that we'll continue to improve there because we're working awful hard at it. To answer your question, I think maybe we'll cut down a few of the runs and try to get better at a shorter list of runs.
Bob. You're on mute, Bob.
Sorry, had to unmute twice there. Sam, we've seen you take Felipe out on the goal line, I guess Mississippi State and last week, and putting the other quarterbacks in didn't work like you wanted to. Well, what's your thought process on taking Felipe out, and then why'd you put Hornsby in instead of Jefferson at Auburn?
Well, because that was our goal line, part of our goal line package going into the game. And so that's what Kendall did. We felt like we could get outside when they're all hammered inside on us. And so that's what he decided to do. And we worked it all week. It just didn't work out. And KJ's situation was the same the week before. I'm not going to sit here and second guess what we did because we practice it every day, and that's for the fans, I guess, and y'all to second guess on that. But I mean, when he called Malik in there, I had no problem with it. We practiced it. It looked good. So that's why we did it.
Sam, you mentioned after the game that Bumper and Grant weren't really able to practice much last week. How are they holding up physically, and how do you think they'll maybe be able to do a little bit more practice this week to prepare for Ole Miss?
No, I don't think so. I mean, they're both beat up, so we're not going to hit them, either one of them, before Saturday. Hopefully we can get them both ready to play. I don't know that answer. We're pretty beat up as a football team right now. We just got to get some guys back.
Hey,
Coach, you've talked about some of these guys individually, but when you really put it all together as a group, and you're talking about, you know, a walk-on at cornerback, true freshman at cornerback, a former walk-on at safety, you know, defensive end, you've got, you know, 2 second-year players instead of maybe guys you thought would be there, and then offense, you know, Blake Kearns, former walk-on, John David White's played a lot. You know, given all that, and to structure this as a question is kind of hard, but given all of that, are you surprised if you were told at the beginning of the season that you'd be playing winning football with all of that happening at one time?
Oh, you know, Trey, I'm a believer, man. So I believe in us Razorbacks, man. So am I nervous sometimes, you know, when they say, well, so-and-so's not going to – he ain't on the plane. He not on the plane. He not on the plane. You know, yeah, it makes you a little nervous. But we prepare these guys, and more than anything, we let these kids know we believe in them, and it gives them a confidence builder. And we do believe in them. But the key is I think they're just playing extremely hard. They know what they're doing. They're playing extremely hard, and we're awful happy with their effort and what we may or may not have physically. We have to become a bigger team, Trey, because right now we're getting hit and we're getting hurt. You know, we have to obviously get in the weight room and get bigger, but get stronger because, you know, we're breaking up a little bit and teams are just much bigger than we are. I'm not saying they're more physical because half of our injuries is us injuring ourselves and hitting somebody so hard. But obviously it's a big man's league, and we have to continue to get a little bit bigger in the weight room and also in recruiting.
Scotty.
Yeah, Sam, you mentioned earlier Dalton Wagner came into the game for Noah and had a good attitude, and Clary came in and played well. What's kind of your offensive line coach take on how those two guys performed?
Well, I met with them all yesterday, not the players, but the coaches. And You know, I got an opinion too, Scotty. I used to be an O-line coach, you know, so.
Yeah, that's what I meant. What was your take on
the
it?
O-line's playing, you know, I got long years of experience in it myself, but.
Yeah, that's I was asking for your opinion on it.
I'm teasing you. But I thought they both played really well, and it was good to see them in there, man. Clary, you know, obviously a 2-year starter, and then he wasn't playing much. And Wagner, he just an old tough country kid. I mean, he just a tough guy, you know. And tell you what, he might be one of the most popular kids on the team. Every time he gets in front of the team, everybody's whooping and hollering, and I was proud for him. And they were ready to play. You know, that's a combination of the kid and the coach. So, you know, I was teasing you, by the way, Scotty.
Nate.
Sam, just with an offense like Ole Miss that seems to score at every turn, how much pressure does it put on your own offense to, you know, not just to almost have to score every time they got the ball?
What's the best word for highest amount of pressure possible? What is that in the dictionary? That's what it is. We better score. Our offense better come to play, because their offense is unbelievably good. I mean, it just is. So does it add extra? Yeah, it does. But I don't know if it does or not. We're trying to score every time. But I know we've certainly talked about it as a staff.
2 more. Bob.
Sam, well, how about Ole Miss's defense? I mean, I know they're put out there a lot because Ole Miss goes so fast, but they've given up a crazy amount of points. What's your take on their defense and how to attack those guys?
I love y'all giving me stats on questions. Y'all do that a lot, by the way. You tell me everything's going on, then ask me the question. They probably have not played well as they want to play. They are talented. They have some good pass rushers. Number 13 is a good pass rusher. I'm sorry, I apologize. I don't have his name right. It was Sam Williams. And but they have they're built to rush the passer. They run a couple of different fronts, a 3-man or an odd front, a 4-down line front. They can play any secondary, 3, 2, 6, 8 man. But they haven't stopped the run probably like they'd like to stop the run. But I'll say this, they're getting better each week. They played Alabama last week, and Alabama's pretty special up front on the offensive line.
Last one, Tom.
I don't have the stats on this, Sam, but I'm guessing Ole Miss gets the ball in space about as good as anybody offensively. And it looks like there's a lot of misdirection. What are they doing? What are the principles of their offense, what they're trying to do?
They're very similar to us. I mean, if you look at us, it's where's the ball? And then there's a lot of different, run routes across deep and then replace, hoping your corner will go with the inside route and then replace that area. A lot of replacement routes, a lot of things that, hey, I'm going to run you out of this zone and then I'm going to run somebody else in it. And that's basically passing football, but they seem to do it extremely well. And their quarterback is dynamic, and he's a big threat running the football. So, I mean, Coach Oden and his staff have a great plan. We're going to go look at it today, but they're the real deal on offense now, real deal.
Bob says intense pressure is a good term to use to describe how much pressure you're going to have. So,
what's that, buddy?
Bob says that intense pressure is a good term for the pressure you have.
We have put intense pressure on our offense to go out and score some points. Thank you, Bob.